Good evening. How is everybody? I hope you all have enjoyed this beautiful day. So, it's been such a pretty day, and I was off today, so I'm super excited about that. But anyway, welcome to Love, Life, and Fun with Sadiq and Melanie. Sadiq is out again, and we'll be back in a little while, but for now, I wanted to get on and do a quick live for you guys. This one is going to be about building or rebuilding trust. And as usual, if I'm looking this way, I'm just checking out my notes so I don't forget any key points that I wanted to address. So, um, first of all, tips on building trust or rebuilding trust. Um, Most of you already know that without trust, any relationship will either always have issues or will completely fail at being successful or long term. So if their relationship is suffering um, because because there's an issue in question, it may be fidelity, it could be the way somebody communicates, it could be the way somebody handles finances, but there may be something that in your relationship is suffering, and for that reason, those different things might have caused trust issues where it comes to you and your partner or your spouse or whatever. But the one thing you need to decide first, though, is if you want to continue on with the relationship or the friendship or whatever it is, um, once the trust has been compromised or bothered in some way, you would need to decide if you can truly forgive the person for whatever it was and be able to or willing to move forward without revisiting the issue time and again. And so, continuing to bring the incident up once in a while, that is not forgiving and it's not moving on. And so, that right there is not saying that you are willing to forget or forgive or whatever you want to call it. And whatever the issue was, it probably would require some more communication to try to resolve it a little better or something like that. But anyway, I would advise that you do not stay in a relationship because it hurts to think of seeing the other person with someone else, or because you just aren't sure how to move on or face life without them being part of it. Although sometimes those things at the time can seem like valid reasons to stick around, those are definitely the wrong reasons to stick around, especially if you haven't made peace with the issue. I have found out from personal experience that two of the hardest things to face are reality and the truth. But you have to be real with yourself by acknowledging and recognizing the reality and the truth of whatever the issue is that broke the trust barrier. And then once you recognize them and acknowledge them, you would want to take that information and apply it to your life accordingly in a healthy way so that you can either make peace with it or get out of the situation or move on forward without going back to revisit the situation again. So now on to the suggestions of things you can do to try and build or rebuild trust. Um, One thing you can do is keep your word and follow through with your actions. So if you say that you are going to, I'm just going to throw something random out there. If you're going to start paying the cable bill by the due date on the bill instead of the disconnect date, keep your word on that. Follow through with action by doing exactly what you said. That seems simple and easy, but a lot of time relationships suffer because people's words are not kept. They make promises that are broken, and then they follow through by not following through with the actions of what they said they were going to do. So, communicate effectively. And if you need more information on effective communication, the live that I did yesterday was about effective communication. Understanding that trust has to be earned. So if you have compromised the relationship yourself, um, or the trust yourself, then you would have to be understanding to the fact that if you want the person to give you another chance or get past the issue, that has to be earned. It's not likely usually that somebody would just forgive, forget, and just jump right in and go right on as if nothing happened. Most of the time, trust has to be earned back. Um, don't take the relationship for granted. So Once you've been given that additional chance or whatever, then you want to make sure you're doing things to show the person that you still remember, and not by bringing it up, but that you still remember and appreciate the fact that they've given you another chance. So don't take them for granted this time. Gradually be vulnerable, and that is super hard to do, especially for men. Being vulnerable, being open, being expressive. Um, but in relationships, if you want them to be successful, and you want trust to be a big part of it, or it needs to be the main part of it, pretty much to keep issues. Communication and trust are huge in relationships. But anyway, being vulnerable, it's tough, but you do have to do that, because one thing that does is builds trust, because it would let somebody else know that you trusted them enough to share this part of you with them, or they trusted you enough to share theirs with you, whichever. Um, it's hard to get wall barriers broken and all kinds of stuff sometimes, but being vulnerable gradually can help. Like, share this little bit of this with them, see how they take it, how they respond to you, and all that. And then maybe you can share something a little bigger with them. But anyway, but gradually being vulnerable does support building trust. Be considerate and respectful. Pretty much you would want to, I mean, be those things anyway in a relationship, but when you're talking about building and rebuilding the trust back up, then you would definitely want to be considerate of, the person's time and other things as well, because those might be things that you didn't consider last time that assisted in the trust being broken. Express your feelings functionally, especially when it's tough. And so if you are super angry or hurt about something, my suggestion would be think it out for yourself, but then eventually share it with your partner, especially if they are part of the hurt or the anger that you're feeling. So it's tough sometimes. That's kind of back to being vulnerable and open, when it's the part where it said, especially when it's tough, express your feelings functionally. But my back's itching, y'all. I'm sorry, but we definitely need to do that. We need to analyze it, figure it out for what it is, and then go to your partner and use that effective communication and say, hey, can we talk for a minute? I want you to know that this is how this made me feel. And um, I don't know if you meant it this way or not, but this is how it made me feel. And I want clear understanding on if this is what you meant or not. Going to your partner or your friend or spouse or whatever and doing that can build trust, because in their mind, they will say, okay, so they're working on trust, because now they trust me enough to where anytime there's an issue, they will come and grab me and we'll talk about it. So that's always a good thing. Another thing is be willing to give and receive. If you have one person in the relationship that's doing all the giving all the time and you're just doing all the taking, well, that there can create trust issues. It starts to make people wonder if they're being used, or um, if you really care for them like you say you do, because you're not a giver. And it's not about giving all the time, except for giving all of you, and you're giving your love holistically and all that. I'm talking about it could either be material things, gifts and stuff, things like that. You be a giver and a receiver equally to your partner. If they're always doing things for you and giving you things, um, don't just be a receiver, reciprocate and give them things once in a while. Do things for them sometimes. It just shows appreciation, it shows interest in them, and it helps with trust as well. So compromise and sacrifice, and some of these things will have the same answers, and they're real similar or close in um, what they would be discussed like. Um, Compromise and sacrifice. Compromise means that you are willing to, that can mean it. I'm trying to make sure that I don't say it in a way to where I'm giving you compromise and sacrifice both in the same type of definition. If you're willing to compromise, it means pretty much that, let's do this. Okay, so to compromise with somebody, I would say, we usually, um, or hey, are we going to your parents again for Thanksgiving this year? Because your parents live way up the interstate. so far away that on Thanksgiving, all we get to see is them. I don't get to see my family. Well, compromise this year and be like, nope, we went to mine last year and the year before or whatever. So let's make a change and go to yours this year. It could be anything. That's such a broad area as well when it comes to compromise, but do compromise in your relationship. Don't be one sided or selfish, like things always have to go your way. Y'all always have to go to your parents' house. You always have to go where you want to eat. Compromise. Sacrifice, you would actually completely give up something for the benefit of the other person. That can be something as big as, I think I spoke on this before in another one of my lives. While sometimes spouses will get a job in another state, but you have had your job here in Bristol for 20 years, and all of a sudden your husband's been on his job 3 years, but he's got this great opportunity to where you guys would have to move from Bristol to Texas. That means giving up your home, your family is here and his is not, and your 20-year job that you've been on. So that would be a huge sacrifice that you would have to be willing to make to keep your relationship together or something, whatever works for you. But making sacrifices like that, or even smaller sacrifices, can build trust also because a person knows that they can always count on you to pretty much step up or be on their team for real whenever it counts the most. So, and like I said, sacrifices can be big or small, either one. Admit when you're wrong and apologize if it's warranted. Because sometimes we can be wrong, but we don't always have to apologize for it. But what we do need to do is, because we have to remember that we're responsible for all of our actions and all of our words. If it hurts someone, if it comes out the wrong way, if it creates the non expected, well, you did it, you said it, you need to step up, be accountable for your words and actions, take responsibility for apologizing if an apology is necessary. And those things will support trust. They know when you mess up, you're going to own it and apologize for it, and you two can move forward from there. So let's see where we are here. Be patient and take things one day at a time. So if you two do agree that you're going to move past whatever the situation was that was creating the, well, or be, move past the issue to rebuild the trust, you both have to remember that you have to be patient. You're not going to wake up tomorrow or even next week and all of a sudden trust is rebuilt, everything's back to normal. It's going to take time and patience, true dedication and commitment for those who really want to make it happen and be able to rebuild and start over. So patience is virtue in that. You're going to have to be patient. You might still come back to hard times before it all gets worked out. But if you really want it, be patient and it'll happen. And like I said, just take things one day at a time. So value long term relationships more than short term pleasures. All right. So, and this can rebuild trust too, because it could be a trust situation where your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, friend, or whatever has trusted that when they need you to be the one to show up and go to the father daughter dance or the school luncheon or the holiday party for the job, they can trust that it's going to be you they're going with. You're their spouse, their best friend, whatever. Um, but you might have let them down before, and those things weren't as important to you as it was to them. They had to find someone else to go with when it was you that they wanted to be there with. And so, for that reason, they feel like trust was broken. Well, if you learn to value long term relationships more than short term pleasures, then that will help with showing your commitment and it will also help with trust building. Um, and also, in that same thing, valuing long-term relationships more than short-term pleasures. That's kind of a simple one too, even though it sounds so huge. It pretty much means you're going to decide whether or not this 3 month, 3 week, 6 year, 20 year thing that you have with this person means more to you than going over here for a few minutes and do something that's going to disappoint or hurt this person over here that means more to you. So it's about who you choose, what you choose, and when you choose it. But pretty much, unless it's dire emergency, I would say it would probably be best to go with value in the long term relationship. Okay, and then it's be honest. So that one's an easy one. It explains itself. Honesty is the best policy. Um, Not being honest in a relationship, a friendship, on the job, in the grocery store, anywhere, it is just not good. And there's been times all of us have not been honest. It might have been on purpose for whatever your reason was, or it could have been, I don't know if you can be dishonest by accident, but either way, being honest is the best policy. It will build your character. It shows people who you are, the true you, and it speaks volume for people being able to trust you. So um, remember that trust generates commitment, commitment fosters teamwork, and teamwork delivers results. So that can apply in your relationship, on your job, or anywhere. You just always want to make sure that you align your actions and your behaviors with your core principles. If you're somebody that strictly believes in fidelity and being committed and determined, and you're not a cheater, and you get on your job and you do your best, and all those different things, and those are your core principles and morals about you and your character, make sure your actions and behaviors are in line with that. Otherwise, trust is broken. You're not showing to be who you said you were. Be upfront even when it's not good news. So that's broad too. There could be a lot of different scenarios where that's concerned. I've seen people hide things from their spouses. They've lost their job, took a pay cut. I mean, they have been in infidelity situations where they cheated, or like I said, it's very broad. But the thing is whatever it is, just be upfront, even when it's not good news. So that's the best thing to do, because it's going to come to light eventually. You don't want to have to explain yourself later for something that was brought up to your spouse or your friend by someone in the streets who heard of it before they did. It just is not a good thing. So I've experienced it. I've been on the bad end of it. Been on the good end, well, not a good end, but the other end of it. So it's happened to me both ways. I was the victim, and I was the person that committed the not the crime, but the bad act. So let's see. Keep your word. That one goes back to keep your word and follow through with your actions. I got that one on there twice. Sorry about that. And the stand on your morals and make your word valuable. That one kind of falls in with your core principles and all that, and making sure that your actions and behaviors are aligned with who you say you are. But stand on your morals. Like if you are somebody who is not a drinker, not a cheater, and all this, but you're always hanging with people that do those things, smokers, whatever they case is, gamblers or whatever, um, and they're always pushing, come on, go do it, whatever. Stand on your morals. That's all you have to do. I mean, you are who you are, and just be who you say you are. As simple as that. Don't be afraid to say no, or to be like, I'm not doing that. I mean, just stand on your morals. Make your word valuable. I mean, that'll get you a long way in life. It again speaks volume to the character, and it shows your own inner strength. That, like, I have my own standards and morals, and there's not anybody or anything, that can happen, or something somebody can say to make me step out of line on this, because this is who I am, and I'm going to live it, be it, and walk it. And that's all you got to do. Stand on your morals, make sure your actions and behaviors align with your core principles, and make your word valuable. So all those things right there are that was 18 different things that will help in building and rebuilding trust. Also, there is an activity you can try too, and I found this in a counseling session I did once, um, to rebuild trust. And what we did was everybody, well, I had my group of people do this. Um, they were doing what we're doing today, talking about. They were trying to rebuild the trust in each other. And so we went with a blindfold exercise to show them how difficult it can be, but how possible it is. So you're with your spouse or your friend or whoever's with you, whoever they were with there, and we blindfolded. And what you do is, I was the voice, and I led you around the room. All you had was your partner there in front of you, guiding you which direction to go. So I'm standing there with the paper, and you could do this with your person. The two of you could do it without having an additional voice. You could be the voice while the other person's blindfolded. I just happened to be leading the meeting and doing the group session, so I was the voice. But anyway, you stand there with your partner, and they're blindfolded, and all they have is your voice and how much they trust you to do everything you say to do, reasonable things. So what I had them do was, I just said, follow your partner forward, just walk straight. Now, mind you, you're blindfolded. Okay, take 3 steps backwards. And they did it. Turn around in a circle 4 times and then sit down. They have no idea if a chair is there, but remember, they're counting on their partner with them to make sure that they don't sit in the floor and fall, to make sure that they don't bump into anything while they're walking. So the partner is there with you, but the partner's not saying anything. All they're doing is there to tell you, to stop you if you're about to fall or make a mistake or get hurt. And so try that. That's a really interesting activity. The group that I was doing that with, they really enjoyed it. And some of them that were having the biggest issues actually was able to hug when it was over with and be like, wow, thank you. If I didn't have, they knew if I didn't have you there, I mean, I would not have known if I was going in the right direction. I would not have known if I was about to trip over something. Or when they said sit down, is there a chair there, or am I just going to fall on the floor? All you had to count on was your partner that you're trying to rebuild the trust with, to make sure you didn't mess up while you were taking the word of someone else telling you what to do. So that was a good activity to use, to try to help support rebuilding trust. So try that with a group, with friends, or whatever, because it's helpful. And like I said, everybody that I've done it with has really enjoyed it. But anyway, that is it. I have taken 22 minutes of your time on this beautiful Friday, and Sadiq is not back yet. And but we do have plans this evening. I don't know what time we're going to do what we're going to do, but we do have plans. So I'm going to get off here so that I can start to get ready. I'll be ready when he gets here. But I want to thank you all for watching. Please make sure that you like my videos when you watch them. If you haven't liked all the other ones, go back through and like the other ones too. You don't have to watch them again. Just click like on them. And encourage others to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I think that Sadiq and I are going to get on here tonight and do some sort of a game, a couples game or something. It's either going to be tonight or tomorrow night. And if we can come up with a time other than just doing it randomly, I will do like a premiere thing and let y'all know what time we're going to get on. But anyway, I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for always watching. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the love. Thank you for trusting me to give you the information I have when I have it. Have a beautiful weekend, and I will talk to you later. Thanks.